Our State of the U.S. story tonight, Chick-fil-A caves to the rage mob, announcing that they will end donations to Christian charities that the left calls anti-LGBTQ because of the group's stances on traditional marriage. This means the Salvation Army, the Paul Anderson Youth Home, and the Fellowship of Christian Athletes will no longer receive funding from Chick-fil-A. And more importantly, the people who benefit from the charitable work these groups provide will now be without that aid. All thanks to the rage mob that bullied Chick-fil-A. The question tonight is this: why did Chick-fil-A bend the knee to the left? With me now, former United States Senator. He's now the chairman of the Conservative Partnership Institute and co-author of Conservative: Knowing What to Keep, Jim DeMint. Senator DeMint, thanks for joining me, sir.
Hey, Liz, thanks for having me. Good to be with you.
Of course, talk to me about Chick-fil-A. I have to tell you, I was so disappointed to hear this. It seemed like they were one of the stalwarts in the fight against the rage mob. What do you think happened?
Well, we are all disappointed when conservatives get together in Washington and often all over the country. We often have Chick-fil-A food just to celebrate that there's one company that seems to be willing to stand for traditional ideas. I wasn't aware that they were standing against anything. They were just standing for just basic traditional American ideas and religious freedom. So we're very disappointed. I think there's some folks at Chick-fil-A are contesting some of the story, but I don't buy it, because when you turn your back on the Salvation Army, this is a group that probably provides more poverty services to LGBT people around the country than any other group. And the Fellowship of Christian Athletes have helped tens of thousands of young people get their lives straight. And we all remember a month or so ago when Drew Brees did a little video to encourage kids to bring their Bible on Bring Your Bible to School Day. He was skewered by the left and the media because that video happened to be done by the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. So we're very disappointed, but we've seen almost every large company in America cave to the left, because it's easier to give in to the left because there's not the punishment from the right that they get with this constant barrage. But Liz, we've seen over the years some of the great organizations like the Boy Scouts, the YMCA, and now you see Salvation Army actually have to give up their Judeo-Christian values because of this facade of LGBT rights. It really is the left trying to push Christian values and Judeo-Christian values out of the public square. But all of the great charities have been started, or just almost all of them, on this Judeo-Christian ethic of helping others, compassion and charity. So we're very disappointed, and it's just something we're just going to have to continue to fight for.
Yeah, the thing that really gets me about this, too, is that when a large organization like Chick-fil-A does cave to the rage mob, it empowers, it emboldens the rage mob. They know that a campaign of concerted bullying will work eventually. So it makes them confident that if they exert this pressure the next time on a different Christian business, that eventually that Christian business will cave. And you know what? There are organizations who are owned by Christians who are not as large, who don't have as much resources as some place like Chick-fil-A, who might be forced to close in the face of this type of bullying. We're going to talk about that specific aspect of it later in the show. But I want to ask you, Senator, too, about the idea of the left going after private charities. Meaning, and I'll give you an example, the left tells pro-lifers all the time that we can't be pro-life, we don't really care about children, unless we care about children outside the womb as well. Now, you and I know that, of course, we do, but of course pro-lifers care about children outside the womb, but it's the left that's going after these private charities, going after places like the Salvation Army, because they are based with religious morals. Do you believe that's because the left wants to abolish private charities because they want people to rely on government instead?
Exactly, and it's a socialist, secular pattern throughout history. Tyrants, whether you look at China or North Korea, the former Soviet Union, they always push religion out of the public square because they understand better than we do that you can't have two masters. And there's something about faith, particularly biblical faith, that encourages freedom and individuality. And we talk about that a lot in the book about conservatism, about keeping our differences and how we do that by keeping our faith. But this is just a fight that we've seen going on for a long time. But unfortunately, Chick-fil-A cannot appease the left. They're not going to get more customers. They're going to lose customers. Just like the Boy Scouts, even though they completely gave in after 30 years and lawsuits and all kinds of threats. But now the left is not helping them, and they're close to bankruptcy. So the left just tears things down. They don't build anything. They won't build a Salvation Army to take its place. They're not going to build another Boy Scouts. But one of the reasons Rachel and I wrote the book, Conservatives, is for people to see that this is a clash of worldviews. This is not just about Donald Trump or Chick-fil-A. This is about the left trying to throw out everything that really makes America what it is.
Right. Right, and it's really shocking to see it unfold before our very eyes, because we see this effort by the left. The left denies it, of course, but you and I see this effort by the left to ostracize Christians, to push them out of society, to disallow Christians to be allowed to practice our faith and worship our God in the public sphere, meaning in our businesses, in our livelihoods, the way that we see fit. The left wants to use the government to force us to behave in the public sphere the way the left wants us to behave, when truthfully, and I believe you cover this in your book as well, truthfully, Chick-fil-A says they want to focus their charitable donations on education, homelessness, and hunger. Truthfully, the best way to address those problems in a society as large as ours is to build up the traditional family, which, before yesterday, is what Chick-fil-A actually did.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if you look at all the major corporations, again, we cover that a lot in our book. People really don't understand that the left has not only taken over the media and the entertainment, but a lot of the corporate world. None of these corporations are going to have traditional marriage week or to celebrate life and protect unborn children. None of them push the traditional common sense ideas that so many Americans believe in. But they've sure gone to celebrate a lot of values of the left. So the reason Rachel and I go to Washington every week is to try to fight this kind of thing and to build support across America. Government's not going to solve the problem, neither is corporate America, but we the people could if we can all understand what the fight is about.
Right. And I encourage our viewers to get your book. Congratulations, of course, to both you and Rachel on this wonderful book, Conservative Knowing What to Keep. Senator DeMint, thank you, sir, for being on the show. And to our viewers, we will have more on the Chick-fil-A controversy coming up. Senator, good to see you.
Good to see you, Liz.